Today, Elon Musk is going mask off. He has shared an article claiming Zuckerberg stole the election for Biden, claims the media is racist against white people, denied the Allen shooter was a neo-Nazi and claimed it was a psyop. This is all fascist propaganda. Yeah, I saw this. The massive public manipulation thing. Term frequency in popular U.S. newspapers. Racist, racist, and racism. Okay. Oh, man, they're talking about racism a lot. Interesting article. Perhaps community notes can add further context and corrections from the Federalist. This sounds like a psyop. An employee-funded media told us Jewish lady and a Korean guy. What? Dude, the redheaded libertarian... Tucker Carlson wants to fucking absolutely eviscerate the redheaded libertarians' back walls. Oh my god, dude. I've never seen a more horny reply guy, okay? Listen, motherfucker. I got a lot of female friends on Twitter, okay? I know when horny, fucking sadistic, psychopathic, stalker reply guys are like. I know how they behave. You are doing it right now. Go jerk off, you fucking weirdo. What the fuck are you doing? He's like, every time the redheaded libertarian is like, oh my god, it seems like the government is trying to make us think that Nazis are bad. Ooh, Tucker Carlson's like, interesting. Can I please get a crumb of pussy, ma'am? Can I please fuck you? Please, oh my god, I'm so desperate. I want to fuck you so bad. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I need your pussy, ma'am. That's what he's saying. Every time he fucking replies, he's literally like, I will literally kill myself if you don't give me a crumb of pussy. Please. That's what you're saying, Elon. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing, you tip, milady ass libertarian piece of shit. What the fuck? It's so dumb. He's like, didn't the story come from Bellingcat, which literally specializes in psychological operation? Tip, milady. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but this is either the weirdest story ever or a very bad psyop. Please have my 12th son. Please. You have such childbearing hips. I like this. Please. Oh my god. It's so obvious. I've seen this fucking troglodyte literally reply to every single post with the redheaded libertarian. I don't want to see the redheaded libertarian, okay? I don't give a fuck about the redheaded libertarian. God damn it, dude. Conservatives are so fucking lame. Like, one Minnesota 7 goes out and is like, I'm libertarian. And everyone's like, oh my God, finally, we have one. It's like, you did this with Tommy Lauren, and now you're doing this with a redheaded libertarian. Keep it in your fucking pants, dude. Jerk off. Jerk off before posting. Holy shit. Like, I get it. All of the sex workers, unfortunately for you, are in hammer and sickle Twitter, okay? So you can't do that to them because they're like, I don't know, posting about how they want to fucking kill the rich or some shit, okay? Literally, just every fucking time. Anytime there's like a average looking lady who's like, I'm actually a conservative, I'm like a horrifyingly racist person. Every conservative is like, oh my God, we found one. That's it. So good. I don't want to see this shit. I don't want to see any of this dumb shit anymore, okay? Holy fuck. Since 1968, there have been over 193,500 interracial murders, including 35,000 white women murdered by blacks, 85.4% of female total, 6,000 black women murdered by whites. Let's think about that for a second. So, 35,000 white women were murdered by black people. The interracial race statistics are really interesting. Especially when you consider that the overwhelming majority, around 90% of crime, okay, is being committed intra-racially, as in inside of the race. So it's white on white crime or black on black crime. So what does that leave us with here? When you talk about 35,000 white women murdered by black people, oh, that's right. There is a fuckload more white people in the country. It's just simple fucking math. Oh my God. That's crazy. It's almost like when 60% of the country is white, then like the victims overwhelmingly are still going to be in larger numbers white people. Wow. Wow. That's wild. Wow. Math, dude. It's so simple. It's so fucking simple. What the fuck? These guys are the brilliant science leaders of the nation, of the world, of the planet. Really? I can't even talk. This kind of shit is so frustrating because it's just like celebrating idiocy, okay? And I fucking can't stand it, dude. I can't fucking stand it. I hate it. I despise it. They're so confident in their fucking stupidity. It blows my mind. Why is nobody going, hey man, that's actually wrong and dumb. You're wrong and dumb for saying this. Like, do you not have a single fucking person in your circle that can be like, hey dog, you know, not to correct you because you're the great boss king of the planet, but like, it seems like you have a complete false reading on the situation. Just think it through a little bit. There's a great danger to media stoking the fires of hatred. Oh, God. There's an appeal to just writing off Musk's turn towards fascism as a silly, sad, weird little story, but we did that with Trump and the January 6th happened. What? Even as Elon Musk falls deeper into the web of far-right conspiracy theories.
The goal is for you to come away from this video understanding one of the most important formulas in all of probability, Bayes' theorem. This formula, it's central to scientific discovery. It's a...
What? I'm not watching that. I parsed through the math of how more white guys get killed by the cops despite the fact that black guys get killed at a higher rate. And he said he didn't believe the math. What? What does that mean? Great breakdown of this. Kareem Carr, data scientist. I know a lot of you want a technical breakdown of this meme, so here it is. What is this? Misleading format. First thing I did was recreate the bar chart. I wanted to make sure that my calculations matched theirs since they seem to have modified the data reported in the original source. Interracial violent crime incidents. 2018. Black on white, 547,000. Black on Hispanic, white on black, white on Hispanic, Hispanic white, and then Hispanic on black. The original table had percentages, and those seem to have been used to reverse engineers in the numbers in the bar chart. Oh my God. Oh, that's so fucking, that's awful. Number of violent incidents, white, black, Hispanic, offender race, and ethnicity. Small nitpick. Since the percentages are only reported to 3 significant figures, the original bar chart should display numbers to 3 significant figures as well. It's minor, but contributes to the overall sense of the chart as misleading. In my opinion, the original table is vastly superior to the bar chart. It communicates clearly the fact that rates at which white victims experience violent crime involving black offenders is very similar to the overall percentage of black people in the population, 14.6. Yeah, there you go. This point is actively obscured by turning these percentages into counts in the graph. Poor organization of information. It's just, there are more white people in the country, okay? There are more white people. White people make up like 60% of the entire fucking nation, okay? So, of course, there are going to be, in totality, more white victims of everything. More white victims, more white perpetrators of violent crime, more white everything, despite the fact that, you know, black people on average are still poorer overall than white people, okay? That's it. That's the entire point of this. I mean, we don't even need to fucking break it down any further, but, like, let's do it, okay? This particularly misleading because without context, it makes it seem as if black offenders are going out of their way to seek out white victims. But overwhelming majority of Americans are white. The implications of this fact are a bit shocking, so let's let this sink in. In a truly race-blind society where most of the people are white and where victims are being selected purely at random, the vast majority of crimes committed by black offenders should involve white victims. This should be our default hypothesis. Exactly. Because most people are white. So clearly, you know, if you're looking at especially interracial crime, yes, there are going to be more, white victims of crime. Missing context. If we add the same race crime, we see that the vast majority of violent crimes in America involve white victims and white offenders. Exactly. There you go. If we thought race was a huge factor and wanted to make the biggest impact on crime numbers, we might want to start there. Yeah, look at that. Here's the interracial same race violent crime incidents. Wow, white on white crime sure seems out of control. 2.2 million, dude? What the fuck? Oh my God, why is nobody talking about white on white crime? You know how people always say, why is nobody talking about black on black crime? Which is like an incredibly fucking dumbass racist thing to say. Because again, this chart doesn't show you this reality because we're looking at totalities now, and that's not how you do statistics. But black on black crime, the rate of black on black crime across the board is identical to the rate of white on white crime across the board, regardless of the fact that, in totality, the white on white crime fucking blows the lid on crime in general. Okay? If you know how to read statistics, you wouldn't get duped by this. But if you're talking to a fucking dumbass, like a Republican, you should maybe, sneak this in there. Just be like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Why is nobody talking about white on white crime? 2.2 million incidents. As opposed to the black on black crime, which is 396,000. What's up with that? What's going on with that? What's going on? White offenders cause more violent crime than every other group. If you think race is an important causal factor, then we must conclude that reducing rate at which white people commit violent crime would have the biggest impact on America, not just for white people, but for America in general. Unfair comparison due to age. According to Pew Research, the most common age of white Americans in 2018 is 58. For black Americans, is 27. As you can imagine, there's probably not a lot of 58-year-olds running around committing violent crime. So there's that as well. When we compare the white population to the black population without adjustment, we are essentially comparing 58-year-olds to 27-year-olds. This is not a fair comparison. Unfair comparison due to wealth. It is pretty much common knowledge that black Americans have much less wealth than white Americans. When we compare crimes between groups, we are also comparing across wealth and income levels. Again, this is not a fair comparison. Exactly. Crime doesn't exist in nature. It's socially constructed by humans. When comparing social constructs between groups, we have to ask ourselves if the thing we are observing is socially constructed in exactly the same way for both groups. Do violent crime incidents have exactly the same probability of being reported and investigated regardless of race? Do offenders have exactly the same probability of being arrested? Do arrestees have exactly the same probability of being convicted? Of course not. As we know, the criminal justice system is not exactly too fond of black people and actually mistreats them regularly. Black people have an insanely high percentage in comparison to white people of being cleared of crimes due to DNA, according to the Innocence Project at least, especially black men on death row. So do with that information what you will. If not, then violent crime might not be a good candidate for comparison measure between groups. Race can be an emotional topic, so let me explain this with a physical example. I know what I'm saying sounds like squishy humanities issues, but it's actually 100% rock hard science issue. Imagine we have two detectors. One detects B particles and the other W particles. If the detectors, okay, I don't want to. This is too boring. Anyway, it's a bad use of data because it's a misleading format. It's got poor organization. It's got missing context, and it's confounding by age. Did my food come here? Dude, at least thank the raiders for joining. Who raided? Can't tell if they knocked or not. Great TikTok explanation of this.
So you might have seen this tweet going around by End Wokeness, which has even reached the richest person in the world. The replies are to believe this graph shows some factual statistic. this is pretty stupid, so there's a couple things I would like to point out here. First off, anybody with half a brain who's taken at least 3 seconds of a stats course will think it's very strange that this data is being reported in absolute numbers as opposed to rates of population. Because guess what? White people make up the majority of Americans. So obviously they're going to make up the majority of victims. Similarly, black people are obviously going to make up a smaller percentage of victims in the country just based on the fact that there are far fewer black people. But the explanations are obviously not that simple, so I'm going to need to see a better representation of this data in order to get a better picture of what's actually going on here. Here it is. First thing you'll notice that the majority of violent crimes committed against white people are committed by other white people. Similarly, the majority of violent crimes committed against black people are also by other black people. You've probably heard of this before. It's essentially proximity crimes. Most of the time, violent acts are committed against people that are physically close to you, and most of the time, that will be people of the same race. And according to this data, 15% of violent crimes committed against white people are committed by black people, which is a very familiar-looking number for some reason. Although, I don't know, I'll have to get back to you on that one. But wait, oh my god, white people are only the 10%. Before all the Ben Shapiro's here have an orgasm, let's use our critical thinking brains for a second. So this is not based off crime statistics, this is a survey, which means it is obviously subject to people's own feelings about their victimization, which can certainly come with biases. But let's assume all this data is entirely accurate and ask ourselves, why would it be that white people would commit violence against black people less often than black people would against white people? Remember, the overwhelming majority of crimes are not race-based, so we have to ask ourselves, why would a certain race be a victim in a non-race-based violent crime? And again, this has to do with proximity. And look, I've traveled a lot of the United States, including a lot of rural and suburban America. And I can tell you, if you live anywhere here and you want to commit a crime against a black person, good luck. Honestly, even if you live here, unless you live in downtown St. Louis or Chicago or something, if you commit a violent crime, the odds of the victim being black are very, very small. I can demonstrate this a little bit more clearly by taking a look at my lovely hometown, Long Island. Roughly 10% of Long Island is black, Nassau and Suffolk County, which is roughly similar to the national average. However, of the 291 communities on Long Island, half of the black population live in just 11 of them, and over 90% of the black population lives in just 62 of them. Which means the remaining 230 communities on Long Island consist of only 10% of the black population. Which means white people growing up on Long Island will almost certainly grow up in a town like this. I.e., if a white person on Long Island were to commit a non-race-based violent crime, the odds of the victim of that crime being black are very, very small, just by virtue of the fact that most white people on Long Island only live around other white people. You might say, wait a minute, shouldn't the exact same thing be true in the reverse? Except, no, it actually shouldn't. And we can see this by taking a look at Bed-Stuy, which I was surprised to see apparently has one of the highest concentrations of black residents in the United States, which was surprising because only 45% of Bed-Stuy is black. Which means, by the way, even in a community that has one of the highest concentrations of black people in the country, if a violent crime is committed here, there's still a 30% chance that the victim would be white. But let's say you live in Bed-Stuy. How far would you have to travel to commit a violent crime in a predominantly white neighborhood? Well, you'd have to go here. And so ultimately, the big difference is that the overwhelming majority of white people in the United States do not live in close proximity to black neighborhoods. However, the overwhelming majority of black people do live in close proximity to other white neighborhoods. Maybe not next door neighbors, but at the very least within 5 miles. Which means if you take a white person and a black person at random and have them commit a violent crime where they are, it is much, much, much more likely that the black person would be committing a crime against a white person than it would that this white person would be committing a crime against a black person, just by virtue of who is around them. And remember, all of this is amplified by the fact that 70% of the United States live in suburbs or in rural areas, and 75% of white people live in suburbia, both of which are incredibly segregated. Now, truthfully, all these crime statistics get a little bit mucky because, first off, crime statistics is really hard to determine in general because they're confounded by multiple different things, including poverty, education, how many police there are in a certain area, because obviously two communities...
How? You've never thought about that before? What do you mean? I just described it. For the record, this is Stats 101, and this is just like American Experience 101, which is why it's infinitely more... this is literally what I just described before this TikTok video. Chat, when you were saying it, I ignored it. Yeah, except you shouldn't ignore what I have to say, especially at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or for free with a subscribe by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Use it on your favorite broadcaster. Hopefully that's me. Someone is watching the stream. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Speaking of crime, apparently there's a chase happening. Is that what's going on? Food verdict. It's pretty good.
Communities that are equally violent, the one that has more police will have more arrests because there are more people there to physically catch crimes. But when we talk about interracial crime and what narrative the media is spinning, as is implied by that tweet, what they're talking about is crime that is based off of race. So what I would like to see is not just how many interracial crimes there are, but how many interracial crimes there are that are motivated by race. And if that differs depending on the race of the victim. I mean, I don't know, it'd just be really nice if, like, you know, the FBI or something had statistics on hate crimes in the United States. Oh, shoot. And wow, would you look at that? Almost 3 times as many crimes that are deemed as specifically anti-black or anti-African American versus crimes that are anti-white. But I don't want to just go by absolutes here. I want to look at what percentage of total interracial violent crime against white or black people is specifically motivated by race. So if white people commit 62% of crimes against other white people, then that would mean 1.357 million crimes against white people committed by non-white people versus 116,000 crimes committed against black people by non-black people. And with 1942 hate crimes listed that year, that would give us a hate crime rate of 1.67% against black people versus a hate crime rate of 0.05% against white people. Look, here's my chart, Elon. Why don't you retweet this? By the way, that's me.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm eating and there's no actual noise gate, so it's gonna be really fucking annoying.